Welcome to The Truth About Taxes and Retirement. This podcast is brought to you by SavingYouTaxes.com and hosted by J. Barry Watts. As an advanced tax strategist and enrolled agent federally licensed by the IRS, Barry is uniquely qualified to go deeper into the Internal Revenue Code than most accountants. He understands and interprets its provisions, explaining how they'll help you reduce income taxes you owe so you can direct that previously wasted tax money into tax-free accounts that you can enjoy in your retirement years. Now, on today's episode.
Hello, I'm Barry Watts on The Truth About Taxes and Retirement, encouraging you not to let declining health create an additional burden on your family. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services estimates that 70% of people who live to age 65 will need some form of long-term care during their retirement. Now, when I say long-term care, you may think nursing home, but long-term care could also be care in your home. Someone to help you get out of bed, bathe, use the toilet, dress, prepare food, give you medicines, or even someone to shop and run errands for you. Long-term care can include what is called adult daycare or assisted living. So when I say long-term care, I'm not assuming everyone will be in a nursing home, but it is highly likely that you will need some type of care during your lifetime. And this is the number one thing that drives people through the doors of our company, is because they are frustrated, troubled, and scared about the long-term care dilemma they face. Now, a few years ago, I was speaking to a group, and there was a guy in the back of the room named Dan. And after the presentation was over, he came running up to me at the end of the presentation. Barry, I've got to talk to you. And sure enough, a few days later, he was the first appointment on my calendar. And I walked into the conference room, and he said, "Now, Barry, I'm not going to talk to you about my money. Don't ask me any questions about that. I've got a friend that I've used for 30 years to manage my money. So I'm only interested in talking with you about long-term care." "Okay, Dan, do you mind if I ask you some questions?" He said, "No, that's fine." So I asked him, "Why do you need long-term care?" And he said, "Well, my wife's a lot younger than me, and I want her to have something to use to take care of me and something for herself when I'm gone. But the guy who manages my money tells me I can't get long-term care insurance." "Well, why is that?" I asked. And he then proceeded to tell me that he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And there, by the way, is a little lesson for us. Some diagnoses prevent us from getting some types of long-term care coverage, while other coverages may still be available. We'll talk more about that in just a moment, about what you can qualify for if you have certain diseases or illnesses that you think might disqualify you from long-term care protection. But first, I just want to start by going over the 5 ways that you can pay for long-term care. The first way to pay for long-term care is to self-insure. That's a fancy way of saying pay for it yourself. Now, in Southwest Missouri, where our company is headquartered, the average cost of long-term care is among the most reasonable costs in the nation, $73,000 a year. My grandma died nearly 6 years ago, and she spent the last couple of years in a nursing home here in Springfield, Missouri. And the cost was nearly $10,000 a month for her, or $120,000 a year. But let's just take the average number, and let's say it's going to cost $73,000 a year. Now, men live in long-term care for 2 to 3 years on average. So 73,000 times 3 years is about 3 7s 21, $210,000 a year. Women live longer than men. Their average stay might be 3 to 5 years. 73,000 times 5 years, 5 7s 35, $350,000 plus inflation. Now, whether you were the $210,000 number or the $350,000 number, for some people, this just isn't doable. They don't have the resources to pay for it. And there are others who could do it, but it may not be the best use of their money. So paying for it yourself or self-insuring may not be the best solution for them. Now, there's a second way that you can kind of back into and pay for long-term care. And the second way of paying for long-term care is called an irrevocable trust. This is where you transfer all your assets into a trust that you no longer control. And then you wait 5 years, after which you're considered destitute, so you qualify for Medicaid, the government welfare program for medical care. And most people really don't want to depend on Medicaid if they have another option. And I want you to know that there are other better options that most people who listen to our podcast will qualify for. And we're going to hear about more of those options right after this message from our sponsor.
A solid retirement plan has many components that most people either never get or have to piece together on their own. There is guidance on when to take Social Security and whether to take your pension monthly or as a lump sum. Then, do you have enough money to be sure your income lasts a lifetime? Are you stuck paying taxes at unknown but always increasingly higher rates? Or can your taxes be reduced? Will you have to pay taxes on Social Security? Is there any way to invest that will extend and protect your money? Which Medicare supplement option should you choose? Is there any way to protect yourself from the devastating financial effects of long-term care? What kinds of estate planning tools are best to extend your legacy to the people and causes you care about the most? These are questions everybody asks, and until now had to scurry all over town, talking with the Social Security office, HR, your accountant, your investment manager, your insurance agent, and your lawyer. It's painful. Let's put some ice on that throbbing pain. Introducing Holistic Retirement Planning from the WealthCare Corporation. All your experts in one spot. One-stop shopping for guidance on Social Security, pensions, tax planning, Medicare supplement, long-term care planning, estate planning, and tax return preparation, all in one spot. No more driving around town, meeting with different advisors and carrying messages back and forth. WealthCare's team of retirement, tax, insurance, and legal experts are going to take the burden off your back and make retirement planning easy so you won't have to fight this battle by yourself and sort out all these issues alone. Let the experts help you build a comprehensive retirement plan that includes long-term care planning, tax planning, and all the other components that comprise a thorough, holistic retirement plan. Don't delay. Call today, 800-278-1755, or visit www.savingyou.taxes.com.
We're back talking about the 5 ways to pay for long-term care. The first way was to self-insure. The second way was to use an irrevocable trust. And the third solution that I want to talk to you about today, a way that you can provide long-term care for yourself, is to use something all of us will probably eventually own, an annuity. Now, if you currently receive or will receive Social Security or a pension, well, congratulations, you have an annuity. An annuity is simply a guaranteed stream of income for the rest of your life. And some people won't have enough income from Social Security and pensions, so they just take a sum of money, hand it to the insurance company for the guarantee of a check starting at some point in the future. And then when they need to cover their long-term care, they simply turn on the annuity check to start paying for their long-term care when the need arises. The fourth way of paying for long-term care is with long-term care insurance. This is where you buy an insurance policy and pay premiums. And if you ever need long-term care, then the insurance company will pay for it. But as much as we would all like to have this kind of coverage, most of us don't have it because we don't want to pay for it and it's expensive. Now, another part of why we don't want to pay for it is because of the concept of use it or lose it. If you're fortunate enough to die in your sleep, and wouldn't that be the way to go, and you never use your long-term care insurance, then you lose it. It's kind of like paying for fire insurance and your house never burns down. Use it or lose it. Now, have you ever gone into a big city and gone downtown where all the skyscrapers are and you look up at the tallest skyscraper? What's the name up on top of that skyscraper? Well, it's usually an insurance company, and I'm suspecting it may have been paid for by some of that use it or lose it money that people surrendered over the years. One of the other problems that comes up with long-term care insurance is that people often come into my office carrying a letter from their long-term care company, which says next year, the insurance company is either going to raise your premium or reduce your benefits. And they give you 30 days to select your option. Would you rather us reduce your benefits or raise your premium? Now, you do the math on it, and you begin to see that it's only a matter of a few years before your policy is either going to be worthless and not cover the things you need it to, or the price is going to be so high that it's unsustainable. And that's why long-term care insurance is no longer a viable option. So there's a fifth way to pay for long-term care. This happens to be the method that I choose to pay for mine. The fifth way of paying for long-term care is by using life insurance with an ADB. Have you ever heard of ADB? Allow me to explain. All life insurance properly structured is tax-free. That means that when you die, your family will get the death benefit tax-free. And some insurance companies have started adding ADB to their policies. ADB stands for Accelerated Death Benefit. It's where they actually pay you the death benefit while you're still living so you can use it to pay for long-term care. Let me give you an example. Let's say I've got $100,000 of death benefit and I need long-term care. The insurance company is willing to prepay me the death benefit while I'm still living to pay for my care. Now, suppose I live for 1 year, and let's say that 1 year in long-term care cost me $80,000. What happens then? Well, remember, I had $100,000 in death benefit, and I only spent $80,000 of it on care. So my wife is still going to get the other $20,000 tax-free. And that explains why people love life insurance with ADB. They get their money back. There's no loss. Now, one of the other neat things about ADB life insurance is the premium can be fixed, so the premium doesn't increase, and so that the death benefit is guaranteed. Do you remember Big Dan standing at the back of the room, the guy with Parkinson's? Well, he qualified for this type of insurance. And there is an interesting, enlightening, and dirty little secret of the insurance company. Long-term care insurance companies are concerned about things people live with but don't die. Those are called chronic illnesses. So if they think you have a chronic illness, they won't insure you. However, life insurance companies are concerned with illnesses that are terminal and will kill you. So life insurance companies avoid you if they think whatever you have will cause you to die prematurely, but they aren't concerned about you having a chronic illness. They'll accept you when you have a long-term care, or I should say they'll accept you when a long-term care insurance company won't. And Dan, we were talking about, remember, he didn't want to talk about his money, only about his long-term care, but guess what? We manage all of Dan's money today. And the reason we do is because Dan realized that he didn't really have a retirement plan. Dan had a money manager. And there's a difference between a retirement designer who addresses income and taxes and investments in healthcare and estates and all of those sorts of things, and an investment advisor who only manages money. His investment advisor had told him he could not have long-term care. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should rush out and get life insurance with ADB. By no means am I suggesting that. What I am suggesting is you need to figure out how to get a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, the government has one for you. And that plan is called Medicaid. It's the government's welfare program to provide health care to people who are broke. So you'll have to spend down all your assets to only about $2,000 in order to qualify. And then you'll be assigned to a Medicaid bed, or in some cases, maybe to a Medicaid-only facility. And if you got time, maybe this weekend you ought to go visit one of those, just kind of walk through the halls and see if that looks like the place where you want to spend your last days, because I'm guessing it's not. Now, ladies, I want to talk to you for just a moment. Who usually gets sick in the relationship first? It's typically, not always, but typically the husband. So he's going to get sick, and he's going to spend all that you've saved over these years on his illness, and then he dies. And where does that leave you? Well, in some cases, without financial resources for your own eventual long-term care or your own retirement. Now, some of you guys say, well, my little gal, she's my long-term care plan. And so if that's your attitude, here's what I'd like for you to do. I want you to go lay down on the bathroom floor, gentlemen. And then I want you to call your wife, and I want you to have her come into the bathroom. Now, ladies, I want you to see him lying there, and I want you to bend down and scoop him up in your arms like it's your wedding night and gently carry him into the bedroom and lay him on the bed. If that's easy for you, you don't need long-term care protection. But I'm guessing a lot of you would say, oh, I can't do that. And so you've got to think about what is going to be the solution when that problem arises. Now, you might be thinking, well, this all sounds good and well, Barry, but this is going to cost a lot. And that might be true. But the truth is, insurance companies only look at two things. They look at your health and they look at your age. And you will never again be as healthy or as young as you are at this moment. So putting this off another 6 months only causes the cost to go up. You need to explore today your personal long-term care options and determine which of those is best for you, so you don't leave your spouse destitute and aren't a burden to your kids. It's just the responsible thing for you to do. Now, at the WealthCare Corporation, we help you sort through your options and decide which ones are the best fit for you. And then whichever path you choose, we'll help you complete any applications that are necessary to determine if you can qualify. And ultimately, we'll do everything we can to help get you valuable long-term care protection at a price that you can afford. So reach out to us today by calling our office. 800-278-1755 is the number nationwide, or you can visit our website at www.savingyoutaxes.com, where you'll find additional ways that you can connect with us. I hope you found this episode helpful. I'd be grateful if you'd like it on your podcast app, give it a thumbs up or a 5 stars or whatever mechanism your podcast app uses. And then be sure and share it with your friends and on social media. You know, I always like to close by saying, if you don't get the taxes right, nothing else matters. And that's true. But it's also true that you can get everything right, even the taxes. And if you fail to properly prepare for long-term care, it could still financially devastate your family and leave your spouse penniless once you're gone. We can help you protect against that. Until next time, on The Truth About Taxes and Retirement, I'll just channel my inner Paul Harvey and say, I'm Barry Watts. Good day.
This has been a production of the WealthCare Corporation, found on the web at savingyoutaxes.com. The concepts discussed are for informational and educational purposes only and should not be implemented without first consulting with your own legal, tax, and investment counsel. This has not been an offer to buy, sell, or invest in securities, and this information is to be taken as educational concepts and not as specific advice for you. The lawyers and regulators like for us to remind you that all investment involves risk, and you could lose money. Past performance is never a guarantee of future results. Tax strategy services are provided by American Tax Strategies, LLC. Investment advisory services are provided by WealthCare Asset Management, LLC.
Thank you for listening to The Truth About Taxes and Retirement podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of SavingYouTaxes.com. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional tax and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your own qualified advisor with any questions you may have regarding taxes and investing.